Hey there, welcome to part 2 of my review of the Mammotion Luba 5000. In the first part, I cover unboxing and the initial setup of the charging base. In this part, I cover the setup of the yard plan, the no-go zones, my initial thoughts on the first cuts, the first few times I've used it, and also I will cover also the firmware upgrade that was released in July 2023, specifically around no-go zone. I do have three zones, so you have the large U-shaped zone, which is about 2,650 square meters. And I have two small ones in the front, which are about 50 square meters each. One is a little bit larger than the other one, actually. So really total, the Luba 3000 would have been sufficient for me. So I didn't really have to buy the 5000, so 3000 would have been enough. I don't really going to expand from what I have, so that should take me around. It takes about 3 rounds to complete the U-shaped zone. The first one covered just under about 1,000 square meters, so about 900 and some. Then it comes back and recharge when it's about 15% of battery. And it recharges only to 80% of the battery, which makes sense. The charging the battery up to 100% takes actually a lot of time, so the last 20% of charging, that's true for most battery. It takes a lot of time, so charging to 80%, that's probably the most efficient way of doing it. It takes about an hour to check our charge from around 15% to 80%, and then it goes back out automatically and continues on. Does about 800 square meters in the second round, and then another 800 square meters in the third round. It's pretty tight in terms of two charging for me. It works out okay, but I think sometimes they're probably going to move into a third charge actually and do a little bit after that. So overall, it takes about 10 hours, I think, to go around, including a charging time and the mowing. That's only the U-shape zone that I have. I kind of do the other ones, the smaller ones separately, because it's very on the hill and it's very difficult. So I prefer to watch that one a little bit more. So it takes about 10 hours or so, including charging time. So it's really, I've been playing it with it a lot. I'm trying to push the perimeter as much as I can. I don't want to do weed whacking around too much, so I'm really pushing, as you could see in my video there, when the Luba cam there, I am actually going on the mulch. So I have one wheel in the mulch and one wheel in the grass. So to really do the perimeter as much as I can. So I did have to redo some of areas because on the sides of my house it's basically wooden area with a little ditch, so it fell through there a couple times. So I've been readjusting that a couple times, trying to get the maximum perimeter, I guess, as I can without it being getting stuck. So I've been playing around with it quite a bit for that. The app actually for editing the perimeter is actually pretty good. It's pretty self-explanatory and works actually fairly well. So that's pretty nice. Um, so it what I found as well is I have a number of trees as well, which are not big trees. Actually, it's a new yard, so I have smaller trees, but I have a number of them. So I can't really define them as no-go zone. They're too small. So it just bumps into it. It would be nice to be able to define maybe not a no-go zone, but a no-go spot, I guess, that would identify trees that are permanent there, which probably would optimize the mowing as well. So if the mowing plan can actually be optimized and looking at those trees and mow around it instead of just bumping into it, it handles it pretty good. I just think it would be more optimized if it could do that. You can definitely see in terms of plans that sometimes it would be nice. It could be optimized in terms of its plan. I guess as humans we can see, well, why don't you go there? Makes more sense to go there, do that part first instead of going the other way around. I have one side of my house, the last thing it does completely in that U shape is right at the bottom right corner there, and it does everything else before that, and then it goes all around and you do finish it maybe 5 feet of grass and then comes and finish it. So it makes no sense at all, but that's the way it does. I believe that through software updates it will get better, so I'm not too concerned with that. That's not a hardware issue. it's really software optimization. So I think they'll do better there. Speaking of that, the July 2023 upgrade with the no-go zone. So it kind of does around the no-go zone, which I found was interesting and I didn't quite understand at first, is you can define how many rows, I guess it does, around the no-go zone. And it goes up to 3 maximum. So initially I set it to 2. I figured 2 is probably enough, that's fine. But then I found out that really it didn't go very close to the actually line of the no-go zone. So after looking a little bit on the internet, I found somebody, or maybe it was Mammotion, I'm not sure, but explaining what it was. So when it says up to 3 and you say 2, it's going to do the outer 2 circle around the no-go zone, as opposed to the inner 2. So if you wanted to kind of get close to the no-go zone, you have to really specify 3 ring around it. So, and I tried that, and that worked very well. They explain a little bit why, and at least in what I found on the internet, they explain why it does. It was a design choice to count it that way, which is actually different than the way it counts it into the perimeter, but which is fine. I think that makes sense from a design perspective. It's a design choice. I think in the app it probably could be a little bit better to explain that, what that means. I wouldn't have to scratch my head why it didn't go close to the no-go zone. I was really impressed overall with the Luba in terms of its ability to get out of sticky situation, I guess, between obstacles. I have a couple places that are pretty sticky. I've talked about my front 2 zones that are by the street and between the street and the ditch. It's pretty steep there. You can see in the video there that the Luba kind of comes from, and it kind of runs on an angle to be able to keep a straight line. So I was pretty impressed with that. It's pretty steep again, and it handles these ditch little zone actually fairly nicely. So I was pretty impressed with that. Overall, I'm pretty impressed with it. Will it replace my 2 other lawnmower? I think the hand lawnmower, definitely. I don't really have to use it anymore. It's been a few weeks now. I don't really need to use it. The John Deere lawnmower, ride-on lawnmower, I would definitely keep it. I will need it to pick up leaves and different things, and maybe in the spring, or when the grass is longer, maybe I'll still use it. And I use it for just gardening and different things as well, with a trailer in the back. So definitely I'll keep that one. I was keeping the little lawnmower for specifically around the ditch, those 2 zones in the front there, because I didn't think the Luba could do it, but it does it very well. I don't think I would do it better myself, so it does it very well. So I think overall, yes, I think it can replace those 2. Obviously, I have some weed whacking to do, so I didn't show there in that picture there were the weed whacker. So the weed whacker, I definitely need to do it, but it's very minimal. So I think this was actually a pretty good purchase. Is it worth it for the price? It is very expensive. It's actually more expensive than my John Deere that I had there. It's almost, not quite twice as much, but almost. So it is an expensive piece of machinery. I can understand the price a little bit. I mean, there's obviously a lot of research that went into that. There's also support. They have to maintain the app, and the optimizing the plans and all that. So I can see if they keep it optimized and keep the updates, I think I definitely see it probably worth it. What I found again is the garage. That was probably not worth the money. But I just didn't want to spend the time to build a garage myself. I've seen some pretty neat garage ideas there on the internet. So if you're looking for building your own, I think there's some pretty good ideas out there. So overall, good purchase. A little bit pricey. I'm a person that likes new things and things that are high tech, so maybe I'm a little bit biased there. But I think overall it was a good purchase.